Alright, so in this video, we will be looking at a past paper question. So this was taken from the May-June 2019 paper. So question 3, it says solve the equation 5 sec theta minus 2 sec squared theta is equal to tan squared theta minus 1, and theta ranges from negative pi to positive pi. We start by writing everything on one side. So tan squared theta written on the left hand side, minus 1 written on the left hand side. We have minus tan squared theta plus 1, right? So we end up with 5 sec theta minus 2 sec squared theta minus tan squared theta plus 1. So the things that were on the left, they remain the same, and these guys here that were brought over, the signs change. Alright, now here we know that we need to write the equation in terms of only one trig function. So clearly it would be easier to rewrite this tan squared theta. Alright, so recall that tan squared theta is just sec squared theta minus 1. So substituting this here for tan squared theta gives us 5 sec theta minus 2 sec squared theta minus, now it's always good to substitute and use our brackets, alright, because in some cases persons will substitute and they don't use their bracket and they would end up with a minus 1 here, which you'll see when we distribute this negative sign, it should have been a plus 1. Alright, so always try to substitute and use your brackets when substituting. So distributing the negative sign and simplifying gives us 5 sec theta. So we have minus 2 sec squared theta. Distributing here, we would have minus sec squared theta. So minus 2 sec squared theta minus sec squared theta is minus 3 sec squared theta. Distributing, negative times negative is a positive, so this is just a plus 1 plus 1. So it's a positive 1 plus 1, and that gives us plus 2. If you're still not clear on what was done, I would suggest that you actually expand this bracket on your own. Alright, so we rewrite, and we would have a negative 3 sec squared theta at the front, so we just multiply throughout also by a negative 1. So this gives us 3 sec squared theta minus 5 sec theta minus 2 is equal to 0. We then introduce some variable y, and that gives us y to be equal to sec theta. Now this is not a necessity. You can always, if you're able to factorize this without introducing the y, then go right ahead. So we can rewrite our equations replacing sec theta with y. We can rewrite our equation and we would have 3y squared minus 5y minus 2 is equal to 0. Remember, y is equal to sec theta, so sec squared theta is just y squared. So 3 sec squared theta is just 3y squared. Factorizing gives us 3y plus 1 times y minus 2 is equal to 0. And we can solve for y and see that y is equal to negative a third or y is equal to 2. Now remember that y is just sec theta. So since y is equal to negative a third, it means that sec theta is equal to negative a third. Now you might be asking sec theta, but I don't see that on my calculator. What you need to remember is that sec theta is just 1 divided by cos theta. So sec theta is equal to negative a third is the same as saying 1 divided by cos theta is equal to negative a third. Now there are many ways that we can go about finding cos theta. One might choose to cross multiply, but for me, I just reciprocate both sides of the equation. So I just flip this, I'll get cos theta over 1, which is cos theta. Flip this, I'll have negative 3 over 1, which is just negative 3. And that gives me cos theta to be equal to negative 3. cos theta is equal to negative 3. If we were to use our calculators, we will say theta is equal to cos inverse of negative 3, and that would give us some math error. That's because cos theta, or even sin theta, their values exist on a range, so their values go from negative 1 to positive 1. Alright, so anything outside of that is impossible, so this here is invalid. We'll now focus on the next solution. So we got y to be equal to 2, and likewise, so similar to what was done earlier, we can say that sec theta is equal to 2. 1 over cos theta is equal to 2. And remember, 2 is just 2 divided by 1, so 2 over 1. So reciprocating both sides will give us cos theta to be equal to a half. Solving for theta, we get theta to be equal to cos inverse a half. Now, this is just 60 degrees, or written in radians, pi over 3. So pi divided by 3 radians. Let us look at, remember, we're told that theta should exist from negative pi to pi. Now, we got theta to be equal to pi by 3, and that angle would fall in the first quadrant. So remember, negative pi to pi, so we can look at the 0 to pi first. So 0 to pi, that would mean we're taking into consideration these two quadrants. Remember, we go positive direction is in an anti-clockwise direction. So going in an anti-clockwise direction, that would be a positive angle. So pi by 3 would fall in the first quadrant, and in the first quadrant everything is positive. So between 0 to pi, we have two quadrants. We have the first and second quadrant. Now, there wouldn't be a solution in this quadrant because, as you can see here, cos theta should be positive a half, and cos will be negative in the second quadrant. So now we focus on the negative direction. So we're looking from negative pi to 0. So we have two options again. We have the fourth and third quadrant. But remember, we want theta to be equal to positive a half. And as such, the only quadrant here between the third and fourth, the only one that would give us a positive value for theta, for cos theta, is the fourth quadrant. Now, a key thing to remember is that we enter the quadrant from this horizontal axis here. So enter in the quadrant, and we enter by the acute angle that was obtained. So enter in the quadrant, we enter by pi by 3, and that gives us the angle negative pi by 3. So therefore, theta is equal to pi by 3 or negative pi by 3.